Hey guys, Foxdrop here with another patch analysis video. This is patch 3.5 and it's very recent patch. It'll be hitting live soon if it hasn't already. And I'm just going to go through and analyze this patch for you now. There's not a lot to talk about in this patch, and there's not a lot to talk about for jungling specifically, so I'm just going to do this all the changes in one video. And as always, if you want to see these changes, then I'll be putting the link in the description so you can read them yourself. So the first thing to talk about is Akali. She's first on the list. Basically, Akali's Q, when you chuck it on someone, that's been nerfed. The Q has been nerfed quite harshly. Like even at rank 1 it's been nerfed, and at rank 5 it's been nerfed even higher. Now this is kind of harsh because Akali really relies on, like, she's not a very good laner at all, and so all she has is the poke from her Q, and it helps her last hit as well. Getting rid of that makes Akali kind of even worse in lane, which is pretty harsh. They have increased the AP ratio from the detonation charge, but I don't think that really makes up for this. I think that's a bit of a harsh nerf. And Shadow Dance, she now builds charges even slower, 10 seconds slower at rank 1, which is pretty harsh, considering you probably, like, you don't get a charge when you level up, when you hit level 6 anymore. So for you to get 2 charges, and 2 charges is really what you need to kill someone, that's going to take you 70 seconds down from 50 seconds. So it's going to take you 20 seconds longer to get a charge, which is kind of harsh. Corki now gets a big missile every third hit instead of every 4th missile, and recharge rate has been reduced at later ranks. I think this is a nice change, but at the same time, Corki kind of needs a bit more love. This isn't really like the core problem. His core problems are his mana costs. So I don't think, I mean, it's a buff, but it's not really going to help him too much in my opinion. Karma, now there's a lot to talk about with Karma, so I'm not going to go through all of this. You can look this up yourself, and I suggest you to check out the LoL wiki as well while you're doing this, because it's kind of confusing stuff. But I will talk about this. Basically, her Inspire, her E, her Shield. You stick it on someone, you get Shield, and then if you've got Mantra, then you increase their move speed as well. I believe that's how it works, or it always increases their move. But whatever, basically her Shield gives a move speed under certain circumstances, and now it's a 60% boost in move speed at all ranks instead of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, which seems very like strong, like really strong. But when you think about it, Nunu has a 35% speed boost, and that lasts for 5 seconds. Karma's speed boost lasts for 1.5 seconds. So in all honesty, I think Karma's speed boost is not as strong as Lulu's speed boost. So I think that looks a lot stronger than it is. KO has just got some like range nerfs, because yeah, I think that's justified. Like, Kale is a pretty strong champion. Lux, base move speed reduction, just so, yeah, just a slight, you know, these are kind of like the generic nerfs which Riot like to chuck around when they don't want to touch anything too much, so that's fair enough. And they've reduced the ulti on, or increased the ulti, sorry, on her cooldown. Oh my god, increase the cooldown on her ulti at later rank, sorry, I can't speak. I think that's a good change, but at the same time, I don't think it's enough. Like, in my opinion, TF and Lux are the two most OP mid laners at the moment out there, because they just have too much damage, considering they have loads of other stuff as well. So TF has like a point and click stun, like an on-demand stun, and he has his, obviously has his amazing ultimate, and Lux has CC, and she has low cooldowns and really high range. For them to both be having so much damage, in my opinion, is too much. I think they need to be changing the damage rather than the nerfing the cooldown. At least that's my opinion. Like, this is obviously a good thing to do for Lux as far as like nerfing her goes, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Now Morgana has had her mana cost reduced on her Q. I think Morg is still a pretty good champion. So this is nice. Like, people will be playing her more hopefully, and they've done something very similar with Morgana and Nunu, where they've Nami, sorry, Morgana and Nami have had their ultimate mana cost. They're at a flat amount now, so they're always at 100 rather than 100, 150, 200. Same with Nami here. So moving on to Nami, her ulti has just received a bit of love. Cooldown's been reduced, range has been increased, mana cost has been reduced. I'm not sure whether it'll make her good or not, but it's a step in the right direction, I guess. Now, talking about Nautilus. Nautilus is obviously a jungler, so it's something which interests me. This base armor should be nice, because this 4 armor may not seem like a lot, but when you think about it, that's like very similar to what you'd get from the defensive tree in the mastery. So it's actually quite a lot. And considering one of Nautilus's big problems was that he'd take a lot of damage early, and that also made him very vulnerable to invades and counter jungling and stuff like that. I think this is a good change. And also his W now has a lower cooldown, which this is like twofold, because his W also helps with his health because it's a shield, and it also helps with his damage because of the AoE damage that it does and the extra damage it does. So this should make Nautilus really good now. I personally think he's viable. Definitely after these changes, he probably was already viable in my opinion, but anyway, moving on to Nunu. His ultimate cooldown has been reduced quite a lot, so 40-second cooldown reduced at rank 1, which is a lot. And the mana cost has been reduced as well to 100 from 150. People are already playing Nunu in certain matchups, in certain team comps, at least in competitive play, and it works fairly well, so hopefully we should see more Nunus hanging around now. I'm glad they didn't touch his Blood Boil or his E, because that would have made him a bit too strong. Considering Nunu's just like a utility beast and his ultimate isn't really game breaking, I like these changes. Now Quinn is someone I think in the right hands is very good, but at the same time I understand why people think she sucks, because Quinn, her ultimate kind of goes against everything an AD carry should be. An AD carry has to be worried about positioning and staying at max range, and her ultimate puts her in melee range, which seems really like counterintuitive. It seems a bit like anti-AD carry, I guess. But these changes are kind of like more or less just like quality of life changes, so hopefully they make her slightly stronger. I still think Quinn's really good in the right hands. This Urgot change isn't really a change at all, it's just like makes it easier to see when you can lock on someone with your Q. And Volibear, now Rolling Thunder, so his Q now is 30, 35, 40, 45, 50% move speed increased when you're running at someone, down from 45% at all ranks. So I guess at rank 4 and rank 5 you're the same, you're not going to feel this, but at the same time you would, my goodness, I can't speak, you would rank your Q last when you're playing Volibear, so you will be feeling this quite a lot. And 30 down from 45 may not seem like a lot, like you could say it's only 15%, but at the same time if you were to get, like the difference between 30 and 50% is 30 and 45% is 50%, like you'd have to increase this 30 by 50%, which is 15%, to get to this 45%. So it is quite a lot, and you will be feeling that on Volibear. Whether or not he'll be, I still think he'll be viable, but at the same time this has hurt him a lot because he will be kited quite easily nowadays. Now the items, I'm just going to talk about these first two here. Spirit of the Ancient Golem and Elder Lizard. Now this is a change which I've been plugging for quite a while, just because this was a big problem with junglers. Like the recipes for these two items were too expensive, by as in they were just big single items. So it would be Spirit Stone plus Giant Spell, Spirit Stone plus Pickaxe, and both those items cost around 1,000 gold. And junglers don't have that much gold to spend. Like they don't bank up that much gold when they're jungling. Junglers don't do that. They just don't have that much access to gold. And so if you think about all the good jungle items which were around, so things like Aegis and Locket, all those items are things that can be built out of small item pieces, because that's what a jungler would do. He'd go back, he'd buy a small item, he'd go back, he'd buy a small item. The only time you could buy big items were if you'd had a pretty successful outing and got a few kills or something like that. So I like these changes. They have changed the stats a little bit. Now they're built from Kindle Gem. They're easy to build, but Ancient Golem now no longer gives armor, but does give CDR. I don't think that's a nice, this is not a nice change. I'd rather have the armor than the CDR, but at the same time it's not awful. And the fact that it's easier to build now as well makes it more appealing. But at the same time, this armor really, this may just make it not very appealing as far as an actual item goes anymore. So we'll see. And the Spirit of the Elder Lizard as well now builds from longsword and longsword, and now it gives 5 less AD, but it does cost 300 less gold. The same with Ancient Golem, costs 2k gold. And it's kind of weird because Riot have been nerfing this item quite a lot recently. I think it's 3 patches in a row they nerfed the true damage tick on it, and now they just give this huge buff. This is a buff. Whenever you make something easy to buy, it buffs it, and I think that's, you need to do that for junglers, like I was saying before, because of reasons that I was mentioning. So, and it's only got a 5 damage nerf, and it costs 300 less gold. So I think this is a really good change for the Elder Lizard, not so much for the Ancient Golem. But that's all I really want to talk about this patch. So I think that's all I can say about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said in the beginning, the patch notes will be in the description, so you can check them out for yourself. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video.